I believe after this pillar, it's it. That's it. Should be it. I think so. I don't know. We'll see. That's it. We just got sub-hour. 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 3 years. 3 years. We just got sub-hour! Boom! 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 Come on! Sorry. That was too much. That was too much.
Oh.
Dex, let's go, dude.
You have great timing.
I'm so
Super Mario Odyssey is one of the most iconic speedrun games of all time. From the moment it released in 2017, players around the world began tearing the game apart, finding new movement, uncovering game-breaking strategies, and pushing every kingdom to its absolute limit. World records fell almost daily, and times dropped at a pace few thought was possible. But through all of that progress, one barrier stood out above the rest: sub 1 hour. For years, the race to break the sub 1 hour mark became the defining challenge of Super Mario Odyssey speedrunning, and regarded as one of the greatest speedrunning achievements of all time. Inspiring countless runners to chase what once seemed impossible, this is the story of how I broke the same impossible barrier. Now, to understand why this goal is so important in SMO history, we have to go back to one specific moment when Nicro Vita achieved the infamous sub-hour run. At the time, breaking the 1 hour barrier was not just another improvement, it was a milestone that represented the absolute peak of Super Mario Odyssey, and as Nicro proving the first one to did it, encouraged many runners to chase this incredible goal.
Yes, dude. Yes. Yes.
At this time, this was considered a near-perfect run with minimal mistakes, and just the slither tiniest bit of error will take away this entire possible accomplishment. This takes thousands of hours, requires a bunch of dedication, patience, and countless of hours of practice. And now, years later, I was setting out to chase that same achievement, knowing that it was so out of reach. First, I want to talk about why I wanted to do this. Well, my own journey into Super Mario Odyssey speedrunning began because of 3 incredible speedrunners: Smallant, CJYA, and Fur. Watching their videos was what made me want to pick up the game and start speedrunning in the first place. Smallant and CJ became known for pushing the limits of minimum captures, while Fur built an incredible legacy through dominant performances in 100% and all moons. Each of them proved they were some among the best players in the world. Yet despite everything they accomplished, none of them ever reached the sub-hour milestone in any percent. This isn't meant to take away from their amazing achievements, especially for the time. It highlights how unbelievable difficulty sub-hour really is. Even some of the greatest Super Mario Odyssey speedrunners built legendary careers without ever crossing this barrier. Knowing that only made me want to chase it even more. Looking at this first run, it was obvious that I had no idea what I was doing. I wasn't following an optimized route, I barely understand the movement, and for most of the run, I was just making decisions as I went. My only goal was to finish the game as fast as I could. That first attempt took me around 2.5 hours, and while it was far from impressive, it was the run that started everything. Eventually, though, I stepped away from Super Mario Odyssey for about 2 years. My focus shifted entirely from creating Minecraft content and other variety content and took a back seat on speedrunning. Then, in 2023, something changed. My passion for Super Mario Odyssey came back, and I decided to give it another shot. Coming back with a fresh mindset and a real desire to improve. I was determined to see just how far I could push myself. As I became more invested in speedrunning, I started studying proper routes, used guides from Tom Shees and Small Ant. They taught me the fundamentals of any percent, and with every run, I gained a better understanding of how the game works. After a bunch of practice and getting better, and before long, it was 150, 140, 130, and down to my first recorded run of 1 hour and 21 minutes. A whole 1 hour improvement from my first original run. From there, the improvements started coming one after another. I dropped my PB back to back to back to back. To be honest, there wasn't any huge breakthrough during this part of the journey. I wasn't learning revolutionary new strategies or completely changing my route. I did mess around with birdless and fish clip, but in majority of the rest of the route, it stayed the same. I was doing the exact same run over and over again essentially, with just cleaner movement, fewer mistakes, and better consistency. And little by little, those small improvements started adding up, and before I knew it, minutes have disappeared from my personal best. It wasn't flashy, but it was proof that consistency is one of the biggest factors in speedrunning. And my PB dropped down all the way to a 111. At this point, it was about 2 months of grinding since my first run from 2021 after my 2-year break. And I wanted to get the sub 110 barrier. At the time, sub 110 seemed so unreal to me that after getting it, I thought I was going to be in the mindset where I was not going to play this game anymore in terms of any percent because I didn't feel like grinding it. But then Odyssey happened. Speedrunning, the urge, the rush, the surge, the addiction, the chase. It all was talking to me that day. And eventually I got sub 110. Because the sub 110 was very important to me and 10 minutes away from the precious sub-hour goal, I want to be talking about this run. This run had a pretty solid cap kingdom of 227. The cascade was pretty clean with a perfect fight. The start of the sand was a little bit sloppy, capturing the spark pylon and a bonk, which resulted to a sketchy bird cycle, but managed to make a recovery.
Bird. Oh. Whoa.
And left sand about a decent time, 11-2x, and had a perfect Rango fight.
Like no one. Okay, I'm definitely losing time. No one in the right mind should be missing up.
This run, though, unfortunately, had a really dumb mistake in ruin. During crumbling Taller Nut, I ended up bonking twice and losing a little bit of time, one of the big time losses in early game. But we brung it back with a really good non-fast hat cloud and ended up finishing with a gold. Then my Lost Kingdom was pretty decent, pretty good, no deaths, and really deathless loss is what you aim for at this level. And I got a nice 2 cycle. Wasn't the cleanest, but we managed.
I cannot. I just got 2 cycles. It's really hard to do. Come on, please, Will.
And ended up with a very clean metro. Another gold. Doesn't say gold on the splits. And because I didn't do Snow Jam at the time, I just wanted to get a deathless Snow Kingdom as well. And therefore, clean Rango Room, and that's going to be finishing out Snow. Got a first try fish clip in this run, which at the time was not the most common for me. I was struggling a lot with a trick that is really very easy.
There you go.
I had another semi-decent luncheon. A pretty good luncheon exit, a sub 51, with some weird lava bouncing technique that is only faster and spearless, but at the time I was inexperienced and I just sucked at using the Podobo up the waterfalls. So I decided to just take this method instead. Then, a Deathless ruined, a clean ruin fight.
Agreed, smart decision. Agreed, smart decision. That was smart decision.
All it came down to was just not messing up Harriet and Topper, two bunnies that gave me a lot of problems, especially Topper. But everything worked out, and Topper was a clean kill. But the biggest time loss in the run was missing target acquired. But I tried to back it up, about a 30-second time loss, but we backed it up, we got back on the mech, and it was still a 103 exit out of Bowser's Kingdom, which was just enough to squeeze me the sub 110. Didn't need the cleanest moon, over a 6-minute moon. Just finished my clawing, and that is my sub 110.
Oh my gosh! Is this real?
Eventually, all that consistency paid off. I finally achieved a sub 110, a time that I genuinely believe was the best I was capable of. Reaching the sub 110 barrier felt like the finish line, and I was proud of how far I came. But after looking back at the run, one mistake stood out above everything else. During the Mecha Brutal fight, I went for a trick that saves about 2 seconds target acquired, which is a faster variant of a kill for the Spirit Bubble. But the risk to reward factor is about 2 seconds to possibly lose 30, and I lost nearly 40. That one error made me realize something. If I could have just simply cleaned up that boss fight and probably went for the safer strat, a 108 was already within reach. At first, I wasn't sure if I wanted to keep grinding, so I left the decision up to my community. I posted a poll on my YouTube channel asking whether I should come back and push for a 108. The results weren't even close. The community wanted to see me keep going, so that's exactly what I did. The grind for 108 wasn't just about getting faster, it also exposed a lot of weaknesses in my approach. One of the biggest problems was my mindset. I became obsessed with having the near perfect starts. If my opening kingdoms weren't nearly flawless, I'd reset immediately before giving the run a chance to go somewhere. There were days where I'd be spending hours in Cap Kingdom and it was hard for my viewers to watch. I didn't even get a chance to make it to the rest of the run because I convinced myself that anything less than a perfect beginning wasn't worth finishing. And that stubbornness made improvement much harder than it needed to be. Looking back, my mindset during this period was honestly pretty rough. I put a lot of pressure on myself and every mistake felt much bigger than it really was. Instead of enjoying the improvement, I was constantly focused on what went wrong. At the time, I also haven't learned reliable routing yet, since Smollett guides were slightly outdated, and the ones that introduced me to speedrunning. So I just naturally stuck with it. But as I became more experienced, I started studying Tomshi's guides. Not only were the routes faster, easier, and more reliable, but it made me achieve my goal easier. Learning those updated routes gave me a stronger foundation and showed me that there was still plenty of time left to save. Even after reaching a 108, I knew my journey was far from over. After what felt like countless resets in Cap and Cascade, I finally found the run that stream. Ironically, this run ended up being a mix of old and new. I had switched over to Tomshi's Metro route, but I was still using Small Ant's beginner sand route that was outdated. Around this time, I've also learned a new intermediate wooded route. It wasn't the full nut clip strategy, but it was more approachable version that still saved valuable time. Around 10 seconds. Basically, I am not going out of bounds to grab the moon. I'm simply grabbing this tree moon, navigating myself up this slither part of the wall to climb up to the ramp and do fence nut and continue on with the route. As the run continued, things started clicking. I picked up several gold splits along the way, and for the first time in a while, I feel like I actually had a chance. Then, Mecha Brutal happened. Just like before, I've made another costly mistake on the boss fight when I should have put more practice in TA or dropped it entirely. It felt like history was going to repeat itself, and I thought the 108 was slipping away from me. But this time, I decided to not let this define the run.
Has to be perfect.
Heading into Moon Kingdom, I knew every second mattered, and BPT-wise, I needed to gold moon by a lot. I stayed composed, played as cleanly as I could, and managed to clutch out a gold split when I needed it in the most. When the final timer dropped at 108.58, I freaked out, knew I had it, and it was kind of bittersweet. The resets, the frustration, the setbacks, I still finally reached the goal that my community have challenged me to chase, and this brought back my motivation to come back to any percent. After reaching a 108, I realized my Sand Kingdom route was outdated, and it was one of the biggest areas I can improve route-wise. Because of that, I started learning a trick called DSTA, which stands for Daylight Savings Time Abuse. DSTA takes advantage of the Nintendo Switch's internal clock by changing the system time to a specific time that triggers daylight savings time, such as setting the clock to 1:53 a.m. You can manipulate the game's seed timer in Sand Kingdom. Normally, the game requires around 20 real-time minutes for the seed to grow. However, by using this clock manipulation, the seed can grow almost instantly. This allows me to enter Sand Kingdom with a strong cascade exit and collect the seed as soon as I leave the pipe sub area, saving a significant amount of time. Aside from that, this wasn't a run built on learning a bunch of revolutionary new strategies. It was simply a cleaner version of everything I already knew, better movement, better execution, and fewer mistakes across the entire run. The biggest difference became at Mecha Brutal when I finally, after consistently losing time to the mech, I finally put the fight together perfectly, hitting target acquired and recovering all of that time loss. It was one of those moments where everything finally clicked. For the first time, I crossed the finish line feeling like I actually completed a run with no major mistakes. And I didn't have to question myself.
Oh, baby. There we go.
After reaching a 107, I set my sights on my next minute barrier, a 106. During this 106 grind, I wasn't learning a bunch of new strategies or making any massive changes to my route. I just built my consistency and kept lowering my summit best all the way down to a 105. And that was all I needed to see to know that I was capable of this 106. I picked up multiple gold splits throughout the run, showing each session was reaching a new level of consistency. Then, when I reached the final stretch, I managed to finish off with a moon split. After all the resets and close calls, I finally had the run I was looking for, a new personal best of 106.49.
And a Casbop while I'm at it. A 549 moon, baby. A 4x moon. Just like that. Woo!
Now that I was going for 105, I wanted to add necessary tricks to my route. One of the biggest additions to my route was a trick called nut clip. The setup starts with a backflip against the wall, breaking the nut. From there, you throw Cappy at a very specific timing, allowing Mario to clip through the wall and enter an out-of-bounds area. Once you're outside the level, the movement becomes incredibly precise. You have to navigate to a small opening in the wall, then perform a carefully timed wall jump that is just high enough to grab the moon without clipping back and bounce too early. After collecting the moon, you are still out of bounds. From there, you continue by clipping back and bounds, then run up the ramp by spamming A, break the nut on the tall fence, and make your way over to the nut on the high cliff before continuing the route as normal. The trick saves an entire 30 seconds, but it's far more difficult than it looks. And missing the clip will most likely result into a reset, and you only get one attempt, so it was crucial that I executed this perfectly. I also learned another time save in Sand Kingdom called Jam Strat. The setup involves throwing Cappy and up throwing at the bullet bill, and holding the Y button. Then, keep holding the button, and as soon as I dive towards the moon, I time a Capto shake as the moon animation ends, so Cappy homes back onto the bullet bill just as I collect the moon. Around this time, I also started getting into ILs, which stands for individual levels. Instead of only grinding full game runs, I began practicing one kingdom at a time. That let me focus on improving specific sections, lowering my sum of best, and finding time saves without needing to put together an entire run every attempt. It completely changed the way I practiced. Rather than hoping to gold every split in a single run, I could master each kingdom individually and slowly build a faster run piece by piece. After many attempts, I finally had a successful nut clip in a run. This run was also special because it happened during my first Twitch affiliate stream, and some generous chatter gave me 8 gifted subs. However, the run still had plenty of mistakes. I was in the process of learning fast hats, and a mistake there cost me around 20 whole seconds in Cloud Kingdom. Also, my camera control and movement were also areas where I was losing time. A lot of my movement was still very safe, and while it helped me stay consistent, it also meant I was leaving time on the table. There were other sections where I was still behind the current standard as well. I didn't execute Lunch and Fork sub area properly, and I was still using an outdated Glory Hole Moon strategy in the Bowser Kingdom route. Despite all of those time losses, I managed to hold the run together. I hit target acquired again, kept my composure, and clutched out the finish. 105.56. Not long after that, I had a run that I was convinced was finally going to be my 104. It started almost perfectly. I opened with a gold split in Sand Kingdom, successfully hit Nut Clip once again, and had a solid Wooded Kingdom. And, because it was giving me issues at the time, I actually hit a clean Scooter Clip. And by the end of the first half, I exited Day Metro at 31 4x, a pace that was projected to be around the low to mid 103 level. That was unbelievable to me, considering my personal best at the time was still in the mid 105s. As the run went on though, some of that incredible pace started to slip away. The momentum slowed, but I refused to give up on the run. In Luncheon Kingdom, I managed to clutch out another gold split to keep the dream alive. For the first time, I actually incorporated Kratos Moon into my route, placing the older Glory Hold Moon strat I have been using. And I also nailed fast hats in Moon Kingdom. Another sign that the advanced strategies I've been practicing were finally coming consistent. Heading to the final stretch, everything came down to pillars. I gave it everything I had, hoping the pace would be rough enough, but my inexperience with moon practice affected me here.
As hard as you can.
I am.
Dude, I don't know. Dude, it's so close. Dude, it's so close. I'm gonna retime.
No!
No,
Why?
it's close.
When the timer stopped, I had missed 104 by just 0.2 seconds after retime, finishing, unfortunately, for 105 flat. Not long after that, I found myself on another incredible pace, the best 104 pace I really was going to get. This time, I had so much time to spare going into Moon Kingdom that the 104 looked almost guaranteed, but that's when the nerves hit. As I reached the fourth pillar, I started to panic. Instead of staying calm, I let the pressure get to me, made a mistake, and fell to my death. Just like that, one of the best runs I've ever played was over. After what felt like nearly 3,000 resets, I finally got another chance. Also, around this time, I made a change to my comparison splits. Instead of comparing against my own personal best, I started comparing against a friend who had a low 104. My own runs were extremely unbalanced and with much stronger first half than second half, so having a more balanced comparison gave me a much better idea of where I actually stood. It also made it obvious that I was consistently destroying the early game pace, giving me confidence that if I could just hold it together in the second half, a big personal best was coming.
Okay, I'll take it. Not 103, but 104.18.
This time, I held on. My fourth pillar wasn't perfect, but I kept my composure this time, finished the run, and by the time I reached the end, it wasn't just under 105, I absolutely crushed it. I had to run 42 seconds to spare, crossing the finish line with a 104.18. Now that I was already knocking at the door of a 103, I wanted to find one more trick that can give me the extra push I needed. That led me to a trick called Snowdram, a trick jump strategy that saves around 8 to 9 seconds over the old Rango Room route. Instead of collecting the moons in the traditional order, Snowdram changes the route by grabbing Shop Moon later before warping back to the Odyssey. From there, the setup becomes extremely precise. I would line myself up using the camera and, depending on the language I was playing in, use one of the rings on the Odyssey as a visual reference. Once everything was lined up, it was time for the difficult part. I had to vault off the Odyssey, vector the vault correctly, delay my cap throws as long as possible, and execute a perfectly vectored rainbow spin. Every cap bounce and every cap dive had to be delayed just enough to squeeze out every bit of distance. If everything was executed correctly, I could barely have enough distance to reach the island with the chest moon, miss the setup by even a small amount, and the trick will fail, resulting to a 20-second time loss. This wasn't easy strategy to learn, but eventually I felt consistent enough, and during this race, I actually did this.
Oh, a 321. Okay, we got it. We're fine. Yes! Okay. Let's go, baby! Oh!
Not just a 103, but on Thanksgiving Day. Almost choked it to fast hats, but we got it done, baby. After improving my summer best a little bit more, I stepped away from a bit before coming back to grind full runs again a few months later. At the start of 2024, I returned to grinding full runs, and I immediately started seeing results. I ended up getting a new personal best of 103.35, but what made this run interesting was that it was far from clean. In Lost Kingdom, while going for the final moon under the bridge, I missed a cap stall and dropped my input, sending me straight into the poison. Because of that, I had to respawn back at the Odyssey, make my way under the bridge again, collect the moon, and then take a death warp so I wouldn't trigger Klepto. All of that turned around into a 240 loss segment.
That's a slit spot.
And not long after, I also got another personal best.
The small ant bop. The small ant bop.
A 103.24. This run also had back-to-back gold splits in bunnies and max splits.
Yeah, it's barely gold.
That's another gold!
But once again, I had a really stupid mistake. This time, during the Bowser fight, I wasn't staying in the correct position for the fire phases. Because of that, Bowser kept jumping, turning around, and repeating the cycle, costing me valuable time. It was a frustrating mistake because it was completely avoidable, but at the same time, these runs proved something important. Even with major errors, I was consistently reaching times I've never thought I was going to get before.
The small ant bop. The small ant bop. We bopped small ant. We bopped small ant.
The reason this run was so special to me wasn't because of the actual run itself. I had some sloppy mistakes and I made that dumb time loss. But it was because I finally surpassed Small Ant. Small Ant was one of the biggest reasons I got into Super Mario Odyssey speedrunning. I watched his videos daily, learned from his guides, and used the knowledge he shared as a foundation for my own journey. In a lot of ways, he was the person who helped me teach me how to run this game. And now after years of grinding, improving, and pushing myself further, I finally surpassed him on the leaderboard, which is pretty cool. After reaching a 103.24, I knew that a 102, especially with that Moon Kingdom mistake, was definitely within reach. At this point, I wasn't missing some huge strategy or massive time save, I just needed to clean up the mistakes that were costing me runs, like the Bowser mistake, or the Lost Death. Eventually, I started putting those mistakes behind me. The runs became cleaner, my consistency kept improving, and my sum of best dropped down to a 101.49. A minute and 10 seconds of leeway for a minute barrier, which for me, and especially for my reputation and the consistency that I show, is plenty for the 102. I wasn't just hoping for the time anymore, I had the evidence that I was capable of getting it. So now, it was just time to put it together in one run. After the 102, I took a short break from the grind. When I came back, it did not take too long before I got another personal best. A huge one, improving my time down to a 102.27, already halfway to 101. But if I'm being honest, this run always felt a little strange to me. It didn't feel like a true reflection of my consistency, and the biggest reason was a trick called DSS, which stands for Dino Skip Skip.
I know DSS skips that skip by doing this. They just jump up the wall. They just jump straight up the wall. There is a tiny section that you can just barely jump on without bonking. You land on it and you can jump up.
At the time, DSS wasn't really a part of my standard route. It wasn't a trick I was attempting every run or something I fully committed to learning. I was actually pretty out of practice with it, and on this run, I basically decided, why not? I'll just go for it. And somehow, it worked. That successful DSS ended up carrying a huge part of this run, and while I was obviously happy with the 102.27, it also felt like I was just carried by this one trick. It felt like a fluke. I knew I gained time from the trick that wasn't even part of my normal game plan. More than anything, it motivated me to improve the rest of my run so I wouldn't have to rely on one lucky trick to set a personal best unless adding the trick was necessary. After that last 102, I really wasn't learning any new strats anymore. It was just about cleaning up dumb mistakes I kept making and putting together cleaner runs. Because of that, I kept getting more and more 102s. Every PB was only a little bit faster than the last, but each one showed that I was getting more consistent and getting closer to finally breaking into the 101. After grinding those 102s, I finally put together the run that got me the 101. This run was honestly insane for me. I nailed DSS, played really clean throughout the one, and even picked up a gold split in Luncheon Kingdom. Everything was coming together, and compared to where my sum of best was at the time, the pace felt unreal. But it was not a perfect run. Bunnies ended up being a disaster, and I lost a lot of time there. For a moment, it felt like the run was slipping away, but I managed to stay focused and hold everything together. Despite that mistake, I clutched it out and finished with a 101.57.
Yes!
After my 101.57, I found myself losing interest in grinding any percent. Part of it was that I have become pretty stubborn when it came to learning new movement and new strategies. I felt burned out, and instead of forcing myself to keep grinding a category I wasn't enjoying, I decided to take a break from it, and that's when I switched over to Dark Side. For the next 7 or 8 months, I put all my focus into that category. It was something different, and it reminded me when I could enjoy speedrunning in the first place. I kept improving and eventually worked my way into the top 25 in the world. After all that time away, I felt refreshed. When the time finally felt right, I came back to any percent ready to give it another shot. Now that I was getting back into the grind and planning to get 100, I wanted to add some strats that actually felt necessary. And one of the biggest changes was adding platform clip to my Sand Kingdom route. Instead of going all the way to the oasis near the end of the route, after hitting Dram, the route changes completely. After breaking the crate, you intentionally leave the moon sitting on the platform and head straight towards Lone Pillar. From there, you climb the wall using reverse Jaxi. After that, you perform a bullet bill manipulation to break this rock to grab this moon. Then, you platform your way to the moving platform. The setup changes depending on the platform cycle you get. Sometimes you need to point your camera down early, sometimes late, and sometimes not at all. It depends on how you've executed all the movement up to that point, but adjusting the camera correctly is a huge part of making the setup work. Once everything is lined up, you wall slide against the wall and throw Cappy at a very precise timing to clip out of bounds. From there, you grab the moon outside the map, clip back into the Sphinx room, complete the Sphinx moon, and then roll to the luggage moon to finish off the route. I also added Late Clip, another out of bounds trick that saves around 5 seconds. Late Clip takes advantage of a quirk in Super Mario Odyssey's collision. Where 2 walls meet at a corner, there's sometimes a tiny gap in the collision. Instead of bonking into the wall, Mario can actually dive or roll straight through it. The setup starts by throwing Cappy into that tiny opening, then rolling through the gap to clip out of bounds. Once outside the map, you ground pound jump onto a tiny slither platform, cap bounce, wall jump, and up throw to activate the checkpoint before grabbing the chest moon near the bottom. That checkpoint lets you warp back immediately after grabbing the chest moon, making the route just about 5 seconds faster than before. This is an alternative to the slow and annoying Rango route. And lastly, I learned a trick called cage triple. Instead of going inside the stone cage like the old route, the setup starts by throwing Cappy onto the trapedal and using it to go for a massive triple jump into a dive on a tiny slither of ground. However, this trick is very small time save and pretty risky. If you bonk on the cage, you instantly die. A dive on the wrong angle can also result to a death, and since you don't have Cappy available during the movement, changing your direction is extremely difficult. Despite only saving 2 seconds, cage triple was also a trick that I waited a long time before adding. After my 101.57, I went through what ended up being around a 10-month PB drought before finally getting another personal best. This run came during my 1-week challenge video where I tried to beat my any percent personal best for 1 year ago with only 1 week of grinding. The goal was to see if I wanted to continue pushing any percent. During that week, I ended up making a few changes to my route. I dropped DSS for the first time because honestly it wasn't necessary anymore. And instead of focusing on that, I focused on cage triple, leg clip, and sand clip, the 3 tricks I just mentioned. Those changes helped me push the run farther, and in this run, I got my best Wooded Kingdom exit I've ever gone. No shot, dude. No DSS, by the way. As you can see, 536 Cascade exit. And I just beat my best wooded by 3 seconds. My best ever exit by 3 seconds. And we just saved time on this split. Look at the BPT. I'm minus 19 on best exit. You know, I don't know how, but I just am. No, dude, I knew it was gonna happen. I literally said it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. I literally said it's gonna happen. Oh! 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 10 months! 10 months! The clutch! 340 Seaside chat. That same day, I also managed to get another personal best, improving by just 1 second to a 101.55.
That's 2 1-second PBs, bro. That's another 1 second PB, bro. I got 2 1-second PBs in a day.
But from that point on, I wasn't really adding many new strategies. Not long after, I decided to bring DSS back into the route after 101.23. But besides that, the main improvements were just better consistency, cleaner movement, and putting together fast runs overall. I think I split a little early, dude. After continuing to clean up my runs, I eventually got another personal best, a 101.07. Looking back, this run was actually the final PB I would get on the original Switch 1. Not long after this, I made a switch to Switch 2, which was becoming the standard for a lot of runners because of the faster load times. The upgrade saved around 50 seconds over the course of an 90% run, making this grind slightly more realistic. But even with that massive time save, I still gotta go to work. I also got this stupid 101.53 that was just carried by loads and wasn't even close to a real PB. So 100 was absolutely free. And shortly after, I also got another personal best, a 100.31, a massive improvement of around 20 seconds. But honestly, this run was a little bittersweet. Even though a 20-second improvement is huge, I'm still disappointed because I didn't even get a 100.2x, and I felt like this run was so carried by Switch loads. Another fake PB Whether the time looked good or not, I knew there was a lot left to do. This run proved that I was absolutely capable of getting close to my goal, but it also showed that I had work to do before I can finally break through. After that, I finally got the first PB that genuinely felt like it had a chance of sub-houring. One of the biggest changes going into this run is that I finally went for bullet building for the first time, and I was honestly late to the game. This was a reroute from the musician's route I've been using before, and it saved a few seconds by making the route more optimized. With that addition, the run started off unbelievably strong. I came out of the first half with a 29 2x, which is exactly the kind of pace I needed. I was ahead of my sub-hour comparison by a significant amount, and for the first time, I actually felt like I was on a sub-hour pace. Of course, the run had its flaws. I had some mistakes in luncheon, missing Salt Triple at the very start. I had a slow 2 cycle in Night Metro, and my Moon Kingdom wasn't the cleanest either. There were still plenty of seconds left on the table, but despite all of that, I held it together and finished with a 1:00:13. This was the first actual real PB converted back to Switch 1 physical, and it honestly felt so good. I knew what I was capable of, and sub-hour was in my fingertips. Because if you mess up first pillar, you're in for a treat. Welcome back, chat. Welcome back. We're so back, chat. We're so back. This PB was also a chance of sub-hour. Unfortunately, this run had a slow late clip, messed up the setup for the backflip, and messed up the Ogre Moon. All in all, around 8 seconds of mistakes, finishing with a 1:00:05. Then I had another pacer. Had an unfortunate bonk near the start of the bunny split, losing about 4 seconds, and finishing with a 1:00:02. Then I learned a trick called Giggler, an out-of-bounds clip that saves about 10 seconds where I can grab the Garter Moon out of bounds instead of grabbing it in the Day Metro sequence. All I have to do is go to the shop, and this reroute saved about 10 seconds, giving me the last thing I need before sub-hour. My next PB, I missed Giggler, which was a whole 10-second time loss. And what you're about to watch, you just can't make this up. In the name of Jesus Christ. Words cannot describe how I felt in that moment. To be this close to your goal and fail. Even though for the live stream, I played it off like, it's okay, we'll get it again. I went to sleep that night only thinking, what if I saved this amount of time and any single mistake I made in that run? But not long after, a few weeks after, and near the final days of summer ending, I got this run. pillars room. Come on. I overshot. I'm aware. I overshot. Because I don't want to take a chance, dude. I don't want to take a chance. Yep. Last pillar. I believe after this pillar, it's it. That's it. Should be it. I think so. I don't know. We'll see. That's it. We just got sub-hour. 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 3 years. 3 years. We just got sub-hour! Boom! Oh! Oh! Come on! Sorry. That was too much. That was too much.
Oh.
Dex, let's go, dude.
Yo, great timing.
I'm
on
so
my
fucking
part.
proud of you.
I wanna go eat.
Let's go,
man.
dude.
Before I end this video, I just want to say thank you. Whether you've been here since I uploaded my first Super Mario Odyssey runs, or if you only found the channel recently, thank you so much for being a part of this journey. Every view, every comment, every stream, and every bit of support has meant so much more to me than you probably realize. And not too long ago, we hit 1,000 subscribers on this channel, and that's something I never imagined would happen when I first started making videos. It's exciting to think of where the future holds, and I can't wait to see what is next. More than anything, I hope this video encourages at least one person to chase the goal that they've been putting off. It doesn't have to be speedrunning related. It could be something you're passionate about. This journey wasn't easy. There were thousands of resets, countless mistakes, months where nothing seemed to improve, and plenty of moments where I questioned whether I'd ever make it. But every setback made finally reaching this goal that much more meaningful. I also want a special thanks to a few people who are a big part of this journey. Thanks for Smalley and Tomshi for the guides, the routes, and inspiration that helped me to get started in Super Mario Odyssey. I also want to thank Casual Place, Crunchy Spawn, Siltify SR, SA1102, Nowhere Seacrest, especially for the music, and Anto, also music. Whether you supported my content, encouraged me during streams, or simply believed in me along the way, I genuinely appreciate everything you've done. You have helped this journey a lot more memorable. Sometimes I think about my 10-year-old self, and if you told him that one day he'd be alive in front of 40 people, finally achieving the sub-hour run he dreamed after years, I don't think he would have believed you. And it still, to this day, doesn't really feel real. This goal took me years to accomplish, but standing at the finish line made every frustrating reset, every failed run, every doubt along the way worth it. Thank you so much for being here and sharing this journey with me, and I truly hope this video inspires you to chase whatever goal you've been dreaming about, no matter how impossible it seems right now. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next one.